What's happening, everybody? Fabulous B with Florida Metal Radio, bringing to you tonight. We've got the band Living Dead Girl that's going to be on the show. Yeah, so stay tuned.
All right, so how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not too shabby. So, this is actually we're recording this on Tuesday. You guys are going to be going on tour on Thursday, correct? And
Yes.
then this one will air tomorrow night. So what I'll do is I'm
Okay.
going to go ahead and put a rush, and I get it out there by tomorrow. Actually, it'll be out by midnight tonight. So
Okay, perfect.
yeah, absolutely. So, I saw you guys at WIDS here a couple months ago in Melbourne, Florida. Had an awesome time, watching you all live. Um, so now, am I wrong in my thinking? Did I hear you guys right that you had started in Canada and
Mm,
you moved to Orlando?
correct, yes.
Okay, awesome. So, what made you want to move to Orlando?
So many reasons. I'm not gonna lie to you and not say that Disney World didn't affect that decision at all.
Right.
Um, I've wanted to move to the States pretty much my entire life. I've always really wanted to live in the States because it's just so much easier for touring, how much closer everything is. Like
Right.
in the same amount of driving distance that I could hit like 10 states, in Canada, I could hit like 3 cities. So it's just like a lot more convenient for like the sake of being a touring band to be in the States. And there's just also like a much bigger metal scene here. I mean, there's obviously a lot more people in the US than in
Right.
Canada. So there's a lot more metal fans here. Like I just kind of always felt like my industry is here, so this is where my work is. And then when it came to choosing a state, I was like, it kind of doesn't matter what state we live in. We just kind of need like a home base to start every tour from. So I was like, I'm gonna go where the weather's nice, the cost of living is cheap, and I can go to Disney World on all my days off. So I kind of just
Exactly.
ended up in Florida. I didn't really plan on it. I just kind of showed up here.
Now, also, whenever I saw you guys, I guess you had an interim drummer that was your boyfriend at the time, or
Yes.
okay. And I see on your Facebook that y'all recently got engaged, or was that quite a bit a long ago?
That was in September, so about 6 months ago.
Okay,
Still
so
recent.
yeah, so it's still sort of still recent. Sorry, forgive me. I'm drinking a beer too.
That's okay.
So, how did y'all come up with the name Living Dead Girl? I mean, me personally, I'm a Rob Zombie fan, so immediately I went to Rob Zombie.
Yeah, everyone does. Contrary to popular belief, though, that is not where I got the name from. It just kind of is just like a coincidence, I guess you could say. I came up with the name when I was like 15 years old, and I first started jamming with a band, I guess you could call it, at my parents' house. And I came up with the name because I wanted something that like suited me and that people would know like right away when they heard it. Okay, it's a female fronted metal band, like something that just like tells you what it is before you even click on it.
Right,
And I also thought it was important that, it's at like a first grade reading level. It's easy to spell. No one's gonna mix it up. No one's gonna forget it. So it's very
right,
like simple and to the point. But also, so where I came up with this exact name was my parents told me the story about how when I was born, the doctor thought I was a stillborn for the first like
oh,
few minutes of being alive. Apparently, when I was born, did not come out, like screaming and crying the way babies usually do. I was just completely still and quiet, and my skin was like gray and blue. So my mom told me the story when I was like 12 years old. She was like, "Oh yeah, when you were born, we thought you were dead." And I thought that was so cool when she told me that because like by age 12, I was already listening to like Marilyn
oh yeah,
Manson and wearing black lipstick and thinking I was so edgy and cool. So when my mom told me that they thought I was dead, I was like, that's so fitting. I was born dead. Like that's
okay,
why I'm like gothic now. I was like, that's just so fitting. So I just called myself Living Dead Girl and like when I was like a child and thought this was so cool. And that became kind of like our stage name. Um, and then I figured out that it was also a Rob Zombie song, like a little bit later, not long after. And I already did all the checking, everything, made sure it's not a copyright infringement, which is not. Song title and artist name are not the same category, so Rob Zombie's not going to come sue me, thankfully.
right on. No, it was funny because like I'm actually in the process of putting together a Rob Zombie or White Zombie tribute band. So it's like,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I mean, he's always been my hero. It's like whenever I first saw them as White Zombie for the Sexorcisto Devil Music Volume 1 on Headbangers Ball, and he was painting the set in the back, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be just like that guy.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, whenever I heard y'all on stage, I mean, you have a unique style,
Thank you.
um, and I really admire the hard work and the dedication that you guys put in, especially like with the backing track. The backing tracks were very, um, uh, I guess, new for an old school guy like me, but I've kind of embraced it because I mean bands like Falling in Reverse and stuff like that are using these backing tracks, and I think it brings out a whole unique feature of the live experience.
Mm.
So, where is some of your inspiration coming from for your music?
So I grew up listening to like a pretty equal amount of rock music and pop music. I've always really loved both of those genres. So when it comes to making my own music, I don't like to label something. I don't like to be like, this needs to be like, I hate the people that just completely, this isn't goth, post, hardcore, grunge, death metal. Like, I don't care. I don't care
Right.
about the label. I don't care what it's called. I don't care about the title. I'm just making music. I'm having fun doing it. I don't care what you want to label it or call it. Like, I'm not in the studio going, this needs to be more gothic, more industrial, or more like I just make it. I have fun doing it. I don't I don't need to a name on it. So when it comes to like making music, I didn't even care what genre it was. I was like, I want it heavy. I want to showcase my screams. I love down-tuned guitars and cool riffs, but I
Oh
also
yeah.
love the catchiness and the hook part of pop music. I was like, I want the chorus to be radio music, but I also want to be screaming in the verses. So we
Oh yeah.
kind of had like a bit of an experiment when we were in the studio trying to see, okay, how heavy can we get and how poppy can we get while still staying within the same song? It obviously has to like transition nicely. It can't just be two different songs glued together. They need to work together.
Oh
So
yeah.
the first song that we made that would like really, like was that style was Exorcism. And then the second that we made that song, we were done it. I said to my producer, I was like, that's it. That's what the entire album needs to sound like. It is so catchy, so poppy, so radio friendly, but it's so friggin' heavy at the same time. I'm like, it is
Oh yeah.
literally both of the worlds in one.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like it's like a mixture of things. Like I grew up listening to like everything. I mean, like my dad listened to like Van Halen and Pink Floyd, so I always had some like classic rock playing in our household. But I also loved like Avril Lavigne and Hilary Duff and Christina Aguilera and Pink, like every girl my age did at the time.
Oh yeah. Of
So
course.
when it came to making my own music, I needed to take both of those loves and mix them together.
Okay. Well, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the new Demi Lovato hard rock album?
Thank you for bringing that up. I've been listening to it nonstop. I'm obsessed with it. I have never been a Demi Lovato fan personally because, like, when people would say the name Demi Lovato, like, I would just think of like Camp Rock, like the like Disney show. Like, I
Right.
didn't realize she had just put out like a rock album until I heard people raving about it. People were saying it's amazing. So I was like, I'm not a gatekeeper. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I don't
Hmm.
like it before I haven't heard it. I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and listen to this. And
Exactly.
let me tell you, I commute to work every day and I have not stopped listening to it like on repeat. I sing along to it in the car. I think it's amazing. The vocals on it are just incredible. Absolutely amazing.
Something else that a lot of people gatekeep on, and my older boys are the same way. Um, I've recently come across the genre of sludge, which I
Mm,
freaking love it, because it brings like bossa nova in with like metal, and it's got some old school dubstep and stuff like that.
mm,
One of the names that pops out in my head is Kim Dracula. I
mm.
love Kim Dracula. I mean, if you haven't heard him, definitely go listen. But
Okay.
I mean, it is funny because I played one of their songs the other night for my older boys because we're going to the Falling in Reverse Avenged Sevenfold concert in West Palm, West Palm
Mm,
or Fort Lauderdale. And Kim, I just found out that Kim Dracula is opening up for them, and my kids, my older boys are like, "Well, who's that?" And I'm like, "You don't know who Kim Dracula is?" And they're like, "No." And I was like, "Go listen." So they listen. They're like, I think this is a band that has an identity crisis, and I was like, no, no, it's not. They're branching everything, and I freaking love it.
I love artists who do that, and I don't understand when people will say like, "Oh, you need to pick your niche and stick with it." Like I've always loved Avril Lavigne, and she's pretty much dabbled in like every genre. Like some of her songs are borderline country, some of them are like more like electronic and more pop. Some of them are more rock, some are more pop punk. Like she's done everything over the past 20 years. And every time she releases a new album, I always see the reviews coming out before it's out. I'm always reading them because I'm curious. And people are like, she's been doing this 20 years and still doesn't know what her style is. And I'm like, but that is her style. She has the voice of an angel and she can sing everything. So why
Right.
wouldn't she sing everything? Like I
Yeah.
love artists who don't care about, oh, I have to fit in this box, but just express themselves however they want to. I love that.
One of my favorite Avril Lavigne stories. I mean, it wasn't so much about the Avril Lavigne part of it, but it was the other artist that was involved in the story. Nine Inch Nails was going to an autograph signing at a Virgin Megastore, and whenever they walked in, he was with his publicist, and he looked over and he saw Avril Lavigne's new album for $9.99, and then he saw his album for $19.99. So he asked the manager of the store to come over, and he said, why is that? Because her album came out the same time mine did. Why is mine $10 more than hers? And the store manager said something really, really stupid. He goes, well, because, we know that your fans will pay that, and that hers will sit on the shelf. And he goes, well, you can either raise hers to $19.99 or you can bring mine down to $9.99. And he was like, well, no, that's not what we're going to do. And he goes, then we're going to pull all of my albums out of your stores.
Mm.
And they did. So
Yeah.
Trent Reznor was, I mean, in my opinion, he always stands up to giants like that because he has an appreciation for everybody's music. And I freaking love that about him. But anyways, I digress. So going back to your music, my 11-year-old the other day, I was watching your video for Exorcism, and he came in and he goes, "Who's this?" And he's been pretty much right by my side this entire time for Florida Metal Radio. He's actually interviewed a couple bands. He's not here tonight, otherwise he wanted to be on this one as well. But he absolutely, like, he'll play his video games with Exorcism on in the background.
I love that.
It's freaking awesome. He's the only sixth grader that actually wears local metal shirts and merch to his class, so he's completely and totally repping the scene.
I love that so much. That's awesome.
So I see you got some guitars in the background. Do you also play, or?
I do, but not very well.
Okay.
Not well enough that I would like play on the album when I could just have, like someone more talented than me do it. But like I do play a little bit. I mostly like play acoustic guitar while I practice singing at home.
Okay. You just to kind of get like a riff going or something to that effect. So for like inspiration, right?
Yeah, like I play acoustic guitar and piano both just enough to like accompany myself while I sing, and that's just like one of my like at home practices that I do. But that doesn't mean I'm like ballsy enough to like bring out a guitar on stage and like I was thinking about learning like even one or two songs to add to the live show for me to just
Right.
even do the rhythm section, but I don't know. I've never considered myself a guitarist. I've always considered myself a vocalist, and guitar was just like this thing that I can kind of like do all right, but I'm not gonna like brag and say I'm a guitarist.
No, I think it would be pretty badass if you brought maybe a keyboard out there and just like
Mm.
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, like
and
I
then
did learn Exorcism to actually be able to play the guitar part in the video. And we actually have, I don't want to spill too many beans. We do have some more videos coming out where I did play guitar in them. So like I was
Okay.
taught the song before we filmed it, and I actually did play guitar in the video. So I could play them live. It's just I'm always more focused on the vocals.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, whenever we were there and at Wids, and I noticed that there was was it one or two tracks that you were having a problem hearing the backing tracks, and the guy that was running the sound and everything, the promoter Anthony. It was funny because I was like, dude, you better hurry up and go get on that. And he started laughing. And he was like, okay, all right, I'll take care of it. But no, I mean, I would love to see you guys again. What do you guys have in store? I mean, do you have new music coming out? I know that you're going on tour on Thursday.
Mm.
So, what do you have for new music coming out?
For new music, we do have a single coming out this summer, right before we kick off our tour in August with Raven Black. So we do have a single that's coming out alongside a music video. And then when we release that single, it will come with its own announcement for more new music.
Sweet.
Yes.
So basically, the single is going to be like a teaser for an EP, or
Yeah, like it's basically like like it'll come showing what else is in the works, if that makes sense. Like it'll be
okay,
announced
yeah.
alongside it.
Right on. Okay. All right. So we talked about your some of your influence and everything, and you had mentioned Marilyn Manson. I mean, with everything that's going on with Marilyn Manson in the music world and just basically in the world in general, what are your thoughts on? I mean, me personally, I love his music. Always have loved his music. Always will love his music. But a lot of people are shunning everything that he's ever done because of his personal life. What are your thoughts on that?
I kind of like to not play into that stuff. I don't think it's fair as an outsider because even I know, as the tiny public figure I am, I'm nowhere near the level of Marilyn Manson. And even I know, as the tiny little public figure that I am, how many people don't know me but have opinions on me or will say she did this or this happened. And I'm like, who are you? That never happened. That's not true. So I can't even imagine at the level of someone who's like a household name, how many people don't know them and assume that they do, or how many people try to get involved in their life or try to make things up that didn't happen. Like I can't even imagine how much bigger of a scale that happens on. And I really don't think it's fair as a public person who doesn't know someone to believe things about someone if you don't know what happened. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right to, make accusations if you don't know what happened, you weren't there. So I kind of like whenever anyone starts talking about any celebrity's personal life, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't know what this person did. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. If they make incredible music, then I love their music. Period.
Right.
I don't care. I have personally met some artists who were rude to me, and I still like their music. That's okay. Maybe they were having a bad day. They're human. Like I don't know. And that was a personal experience.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas when it's something that didn't affect me personally, like I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. So
Right.
if I like the music, I'm gonna still listen to the music.
And that's kind of how, where I land on that particular topic is because I've always liked his music. I met him whenever he was with Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids back in 1993.
Oh, amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was in South Florida, and it was funny because he was opening up for Nine Inch Nails. And whenever they were opening up for Nine Inch Nails, he had did a set. They got off stage, and he was out in the crowd with the rest of us as we were watching Nine Inch Nails set. And I bumped into him, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he was like, "Hey, what's happening?" And I was like, "Oh, we're Marilyn Manson," and he goes, "Yeah," and he introduced himself as Brian at the time. So it was really cool and surreal because I knew him as where we are right now, where you are, in your, public figure, where I am in my public figure, and it's like I met him whenever he was starting, and it's a completely different person. And over the years, it's just like I've seen so many different people drag his name through the mud, and I've always liked his music. So his art is what I liked. If all of that stuff was true, it's none of my business, and I don't think that it affected his his craft in any way, shape, or form. I mean, that's just my opinion.
I also just don't think cancel culture is very fair because look what happened with Johnny Depp. He got fired
Right.
from Disney. He lost his biggest paying contract. Everyone immediately jumped on him, attacked him, calling him a woman beater. And then he wins in court for defamation. So I don't
Yep.
think it's fair for people to just jump on people and attack them when they weren't there and they don't know what happened. It's not your business.
Exactly. Exactly. So, so you're going on this tour with who's the band that you're going on tour with on Thursday?
The Almas.
The Almas. Okay, now is that going to be multi-venue, or I mean, how many shows are you guys playing with them?
So if I remember correctly, I have so many tour dates booked right now that like my brain is just trying to like remember them in order. If I remember correctly, they aren't on the first 3 shows of this tour, but they are on the rest of it. So I believe it is 5 or 6 shows we are playing with them. I think it's 5 shows.
Okay. Now, are you guys headlining that this tour, or
We are, yeah.
that's awesome?
Thank you.
So, I mean, is this going to be across the state of Florida? Is this going to be up into Georgia? I mean, where are you guys taking this show?
This one's kind of just like a little circle around Florida, if you will. Like we start in Jacksonville, Florida. That is the only Florida date on this run, unfortunately, but there are more coming this year, I promise. So we start in Jacksonville, Florida this Thursday, May 4th. Then we're going up to South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama. So we're kind of just like doing a little circle back to
Okay.
Orlando.
Right on. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that because I mean you got to get your music out there and give everybody a chance to see you all. So
I'm excited to hit Alabama because that's one of the states we haven't been to yet. So we've played like Florida, we played North Carolina, South Carolina stuff, but we've never been to Alabama. So I just like going to new places to cross them off the list.
you know, I completely and totally concur with that. I mean, I've been to so many different states. It's so cool to see the different cultures and stuff, and to hear the different music. I mean, there was a band up there in Alabama that I saw up in Pensacola one time. They had come down to a local show, and it was kind of a cross between thrash and country, and
Oh, interesting.
who does that?
Yeah.
It was amazing, and I was like, okay. So, I know that I've got their name written down here somewhere. I mean, because I usually take notes whenever I actually go to live shows. So I mean, it was friggin' amazing. But anyways, no, I mean, good for you guys for this tour. And then you've got the other one, Raven Black, that you're going to be going on tour with too, or
Yes. So in August, we are direct support for Raven Black. The tour with her begins in Utah, though. So we have a lot of routing dates leading up to it. So
Okay.
on the routing dates, it is just Living Dead Girl headlining, not with Raven Black, just to like get us from the drive from Florida to Utah without just going straight. We're going to stop and play shows along the way. So
Oh,
we're
nice.
going through Texas, Wyoming, Colorado, Oklahoma, like so many places that we've never been to before. We have been to Texas, but all the other ones I've listed, we haven't played before. So it's just really exciting because like I'm from Canada, so I
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
I haven't visited a lot of these places yet, and I never would otherwise if I wasn't in a band. Like I've been to so many random cities and random states, like in the middle of nowhere. I've gone to like so many cool places that most people from Toronto like don't normally go to. So it's just like cool. I love traveling and just like seeing like what the music scene is like in each of these cities.
Oh yeah. And it's so fantastic because, like I said, you get bands like out of Alabama that are fusing thrash and country, and then I mean, you might go out to Utah and you might find something just completely and totally that blows your mind, and you're going to be like, "Oh my gosh!" And and it's by region. I mean, you hear a lot of Florida bands, and a lot of Florida bands have kind of a similar sound with to each other. But I mean, you go to North Carolina, it's completely different. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, with you touring and everything, I mean, and you're pretty young. I mean, how does this? I mean, is this checking off like a lot of your bucket list as a young person, or?
It is, yeah. I honestly cannot picture my life in any other direction. Like I never had a backup plan. I always just knew I'm going to be a singer. I don't care if it's difficult. I don't care if it's expensive. I don't care if it's absolutely exhausting and kind of ruins my life sometimes. I'm going to do it. And anytime something seemed like, oh, maybe this isn't working out or maybe this is too difficult, like trying to figure out how to get the work visa to move to the States, trying to figure out how I had to buy our tour van in Canada and drive it down here because I couldn't buy a car in Florida and figure out all these logistics. Like every time something like has seemed impossible, I'm like, but this is what I wanted to do. This is what I signed up for. I will figure it out one way or another. Cause I just keep reminding myself, I'm like, if it's not this, then what else would I be doing? Like,
Right.
this is the only plan my life has. I don't want a normal job. I don't want to sit in an office. I could never. I'm like, I'm a musician. That's it, period.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
getting to travel with my friends and play music and meet other bands and see all these different places that I would never go to otherwise, I'm like, this is it for me. I don't want to do anything else.
that's amazing. And you've got, so much, going on for you. I mean, and right now, seeing, from the outside looking in, just, browsing your Facebook, and I'm just so happy for you with everything that life has been throwing at you. So for, you're going places, and, I'm really, really happy to see that for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're definitely going to have to get you guys back to Melbourne sometime. Hopefully,
Absolutely.
in a place that we can have a stage. We've been looking for more venues in the area that has stages, and that you guys
Mm.
aren't playing on the floor in front of everybody.
Every time I play a floor show, like every time we walk in and see that, like we always joke now, we call it a Denny's show because of that viral video of that band playing in a Denny's. I think I even said at Wids, I was like, what the fuck is up, Denny's? Like as a joke, because
Right.
every time I've been like not on a stage, that's immediately where my brain goes.
That's awesome. Awesome. So we talked about, you got the new stuff coming up. How many albums do you guys have out right now? And where could like somebody just catching on to you guys right now? Where would they be able to find your discography?
So we have a full-length album, Exorcism, that came out in June of 2021. So it's still pretty fresh. It's not like old yet. It came out June 2021 and it is available everywhere like Spotify, iTunes. I guess now it's not called iTunes, it's Apple Music.
Right.
Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, there's some music videos. We have an official website, livingdeadgirl.ca. Everything is on there as well. And then we did just release a covers EP. So Exorcism is all originals, and then we have a covers EP as well called Not That Innocent that came out February 24th of this year. So it is 5 early 2000 pop songs. Like we're talking Britney Spears, Hilary Duff, Avril Lavigne, but we
Nice.
kind of rewrote them to be metal songs.
Okay.
And that just came out this year, and it is on all the same places. Once you find Exorcism, it'll be listed right beside it. So when you type in Living
Sweet.
Dead Girl, you'll probably find Rob Zombie first, but scroll down a little bit, see a picture of my face. That one's me.
Absolutely. Now, I did see that you guys had quite a bit of merchandise also at the show. So where could they find or buy a Living Dead Girl shirt or other merchandise?
Our online store is at livingdeadgirl.ca. Just remember that it's .ca and not .com because I bought it when I lived in Canada. And then so /shop, you will find it all on the website. We have like a huge online store. If you thought that was a lot of the show, we have like 10 times more online.
That's awesome. Now, it was funny whenever I first started Florida Metal Radio, I started in 2020, at the beginning of 2020. And I pretty much did everything. It's like I had Florida Metal Radio shower curtains, Florida Metal
Wow.
Radio oven mitts, shoes, boots, just anything that I would put my logo on. And
Why not? It's branding.
I know, exactly. Get one of the color changing cups, that says Florida Metal Radio when it's black. Whenever it's white, then it's got the logo on it. Exactly.
Mm.
So I am looking forward to whenever you guys come back down this way. I mean, even if it's, an Orlando show, I would definitely come over and check you guys out. Now, is there anything else that you guys, I mean, we've music, tours, anything like side projects or?
Not really side projects other than I'm the two things I'm focusing on in my life right now are living dead girl and the fact that I'm getting married next year. So I don't have room in my brain for anything else.
So when did you guys set the date?
It's for April 30th of next year. So like exactly a year from now.
That's awesome.
It's awesome, but it's a lot to think about. It's like when you're really focused on like touring and stuff, we're like, when are we having like our Jack and Jill and like our bridal shower and our bachelorette party? I'm like looking at our tour schedule and I'm like, when are we doing these things?
Right? No, I remember how much work it was whenever I got married in 1999.
Oh, the year I was born.
That's the year that my oldest son was born too. It was funny because his mom was 5 months pregnant whenever we got married, and nobody knew.
Oh wow.
So yeah, now I just remember how much work it was back then, and I mean, I could only imagine, you guys got flowers, photography, and stuff like that. Um, you know, I'm actually excited for you guys. So I mean,
Thank you.
I mean that's always a big thing, and everybody should experience it once in life. At least once in life.
I
But
hope I only experience it once.
yeah, please just
That's the goal.
exactly. And if you think being in a band is a lot of work, try being married.
So many people have said that to me. I'm like, well, I cook dinner in lingerie and high heels, so I think I've got half of it figured it out.
That's true.
That's about half of it.
Yeah, he shouldn't have any complaints after that point. So all right. So thank you so much for being on here with me. Like I said, I'm gonna have this up later on this evening.
Sounds good.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. I mean,
You as well. Thank you.
me being the dumbass that I am, go ahead and give us the names of your everybody that's in the band.
We have Johnny Law on guitar, Jordan Storing on bass, and Steve Haining on drums.
Okay. And that's your fiance.
Yes. And then I'm Molly Rennick. My name isn't actually Living Dead Girl.
What? Need to write down that different notes then. So all right, Molly. Well, thank you very much for being on the show with us again. I'm going to go ahead and start getting to editing. And like I said, I will have this up. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.